Hello and welcome to another Kotlin tutorial. Today we'll continue with our development of our calculator. We will check out a bit of the essentials, how to optimize a bit our code, how to clean up some stuff, and try to look at some loop executions. Okay, we'll try to see that in the next part. So here we're just going to use some a bit more interesting operators for flow control. And remember, our project is already connected to Bitbucket, so each time I make some changes, I will put a commit push to tell what I just did. Okay, so first of all, let's get used to it. I'm gonna clean these lines here and save. I'm going to commit and push and say just removed some unnecessary comments. Great. And again, commit push. That's it. Commit push. Yes. Okay. Great. You don't have to push all the time. You just can commit, and then in the end push everything. It will be the same. Okay. I mean, because it may be even quicker. Okay. So we stopped before we connected the commit project to the project. We stopped when we created this new calculator with the option to choose different options, asking for the option through the read line console, through the console. Okay, great. So when we work with source control, we know there is this kind of operator, the if operator, that allow us to check if the condition inside the parentheses is true or false. If it's true, then the condition if can be executed, so it will execute what we have in here. Okay. If it's false, it will jump it won't get into this block, okay, which is defined by this small block open and block close, and it won't execute. So if this condition does not comply, this part here won't execute. Okay, and that's why we use this option, which is asking the user to tell us which number he wants. And then here we check what is the number he just inputted, okay? Because as you remember, reading line and then putting to whatever, to double or to int, turns the text that he just wrote into the appropriate data type, if it's an int, if it's a double, or whatever. Now, in this moment right now, one of the main problems we have, it's not really a problem, but it's from an optimization point of view, this line here, the if, okay, the computer checks if this complies all of the conditions, which means it checks here, it checks here, it checks here, and it checks here. Even if it's number 1 and it executes these lines here, it will also execute this one. It will also check, check if this complies, this or this. And we know that it only will have to execute one of the 4. So if this is comply, if this is true, it's obvious that the rest, this and this, will be false by default because it excludes it. So I feel that it's really not well done if we just leave it like this, because it will always check, and checking a condition it also consumes processing power and memory. So how can I save the computer that the need to check other operators if the first one or the second one already is true? If this is true, for example, these two can be jumped. We can jump them. Okay. Right now they're not really, this checking is not being jumped. So we have the option to add an else block. Okay. Else block is the block of code that will be executed inside this block open and block close. So the code that will come in here will be executed if this is false, which means we can let it has always the option to execute in case it's true or in case it's false. So what we will do, we can do something like this. Copy this and put it inside here. Okay, so what will happen is, if operator 1, great, execute. Else, then check if one of these three comply. Again, we can do the same thing here. If operator this one execute, great. Okay, we can do this. And again. So what we are really doing, we're doing that if this one executed first, then this else won't be executed. So if it's 1, it will execute this and jump to the end. Okay, so it doesn't do anything else. Else, if it's not operator 1, it will check if it's operator 2. If it's executed this, then this block won't be executed. It will jump above this. As you can see, you also have the line that shows you, yes, in what block are you? I mean, which line of block are you? It's very important to maintain the tab and the distances, because that way we know which block it is. And besides, you can even open and close the blocks, you see? So if you don't want to show so much code, you can keep closing and closing until you have this, the first else and if. And then you can double click here and open and open and open and open and open. So this way, what we did is somehow reduce a bit the amount of confirmation, of checking. Okay, it doesn't have to check every time, the 4 times, if it complies or not, if it already complies. I mean, if it complies, if in one of these this is true, then the rest can be jumped. Okay. Another way of writing this, the same thing here, is the following. I'm going to show you another way, which is cleaner, which is writing else if. You can connect these two. Okay, you can do something like this. Okay, so that way it looks a bit easier to read. Okay, we can do this, and we can add else if, which is exactly the same thing. Okay, it's exactly the same thing, like this. Again, we move this backwards, and again we connect the else and the if, and again we move this backwards. This one we have to move backwards as well. So else if, and we can erase some closing blocks. Great. This one doesn't close anything. We have to erase this one too, and move this backwards as well. And this is exactly the same thing, as before. Okay, there's no difference at all. Okay, just that this is even cleaner, because we have the else if option, okay, which is a third way of writing it, and we can always put a final else in case none of the operators executed. This is in case he puts something different than 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so in this case, it's very important to add this option so the user knows that he wrote something wrong. And we will put here a small print ln with saying this option is not in the menu. So as you can see, I made a complete change here in the blocks. I will commit the changes and explain what I did. Added else if, and else to the menu conditions, so it doesn't check the condition in each one of the ifs in case the previous condition was true. And I will also put and added the else in case the user chooses a different option than 1 to 4. Okay, great. Commit. In this case, I will push because it's a lot of things. Yes, push. Okay, great. So if I execute the app, yes, I will see as last time, the console will tell me, okay, enter a first number, let's put 60, enter a second number, 3, and it tells me to choose divide, multiply, subtract, or whatever. The functionality shouldn't change, okay? It will be the same, okay? 60 divided by 3, it's 20. Now, if I execute it again, and I enter here number 45 and number 5, and I choose a number outside of 1 to 4, like let's say 7, it will tell me this option is not in the menu. And it will take me out of the app. I mean, it's not going to execute anything. It'll tell me this option is not in the menu, and it will exit. Okay, that's what we wanted. The else will execute. So this way we can control which one is. If it's neither of any of these ones that execute, then it will execute this line, and that's it. Next part, we will start working with loops.